Okay, guys, welcome to this week's episode of Don't Think. I really am at my wit's end right now with, I don't know if you're watching this, you'll be able to see how uncomfortable I look. And that is because I was trying to record this episode 20, 30 minutes ago, an hour ago, 5 hours ago. Time just all blends together when you're as frustrated as I've been today. And I accidentally knocked over my camera, which then fell and broke the cord that connects my microphone to my adapter. So, of course, this sent me into an absolute crash out because I'm already frustrated. I hate anything technological, makes me just want to die. Anyway, this happened. And then my boyfriend was kind enough to, aka scared enough, because he knows how I get, to pick me up a new cord on his way over. However, this is the longest one they had at Staples. FU Staples. It's not long enough. It's so short. This is the longest one they had. Okay. What are the other ones for? Ants? Are they made for ants? Because this one, you can see how I get a little bit worked up when things don't go my way. Anyway, I am not really able to comfortably sit because the microphone wire is not long. Whatever. Welcome to this week's episode of Don't Think, which is a podcast for people whose brains never shut up and for people who can't fucking stand when things don't go their way and technological crashes. But today we're going to talk about something that I would rank in my top 5 favorite things to overthink about. And my brain loves bothering me about this almost every single day. And that is, I would say every single day. And that is feeling like I'm not good enough. It's very timely to do this episode because, I feel this way every day, but there are certain days, for example, today, where I'm just honestly, I just want to quit. I just feel like everything is going wrong. I feel like literally trying to record this podcast episode, I'm crashing out because everything's not working. And then I'm thinking to myself, what am I even doing this for? Nobody likes my fucking podcast. Now, I'm not trying to be a martyr, be like, woe is me, feel bad for me. This is literally the whole point of this podcast, is that you guys relate to my crazy thoughts, which I want to say are irrational and sometimes incredibly, overdone. But right now it doesn't feel that way to me. It does feel real. It feels very real. But that's what imposter syndrome does to you. My therapist recently suggested that I have imposter syndrome. And I was like, oh, my imposter syndrome has imposter syndrome. It's so bad. And she laughed. I don't actually know if she laughed or not. I like to imagine that she did because she thinks I'm very funny. Obviously, therapy is not about my therapist helping me. It's about me getting my therapist to like me and think that I'm successful and cool. But that's an episode for another time. Anyway, this applies to pretty much every aspect of my life. It definitely eats me alive, most relating to my work and my career, which I'm a complete fucking failure at. I don't even know, who am I even talking to right now? Nobody will be listening to this episode because everybody hates me. I'm very, very in my victim mode today. You're going to see that shine in this episode. But again, it's timely. But no, it's bigger than that. Honestly, imposter syndrome, it's not just something that you have when you're about to go to a job interview and you're like, oh, I'm not good enough for the job. No, it affects every single aspect of every part of my life. So my relationships, my friendships, my career, opportunities that might come up or might not come up. And even if they do come up, it's because I tricked them into coming up and I'm not good enough. And it's all about how you feel about yourself on a day-to-day basis, which for me, and I'm guessing a lot of you, since after all, you're here with me, the queen of crazy. It's how we feel about ourselves day to day. It's not always so great. I can really personally boil my imposter syndrome down to a 2-pronged disease. Okay. So the first prong is the thinking, I'm not good enough. And by the way, according to my therapist and probably other people in my life as well, they're all wrong. It's not just I'm not good enough. My therapist recently said where you think you are versus where you really are is not even close. The gap it's a gaping hole. It's so wide. So the 2 prongs, A, thinking I'm nowhere near good enough. In fact, quite terrible. And then B, when somebody points out evidence to the contrary, or even I find myself finding evidence to the contrary, my immediate reaction then is, oh, well, I tricked them. And you might say numbers don't lie. And I say numbers do lie. For example, my thought could be, I'm not a good friend. I can hear my therapist. She would say, but you have friends who are good to you, who you think are smart, reasonable people. Why would they be your friends if you weren't good to them? Oh, well, you see, let me help you out there. I tricked them. Yeah. And soon they'll realize the real me and they'll leave like everybody does. Another example could be, I'm not good at podcasting. My podcast is a failure. My therapist would say, didn't you have a really successful launch and you already have like way more listeners than most podcasts reach in their first few months? And isn't the, agency you work with really happy with you? And I would say, sure. All of that on paper, but I tricked them. I'm not actually good. They'll figure that out soon enough. Or maybe there's some sort of flaw in the counting system. I don't know. Like my brain is basically like this, okay? We've got two moods. We have failure and we have impending failure. There is no third option. So it's like, okay, fine. You can prove to me that I'm not failing in this exact moment, but that's because the failure is just around the corner. It makes it pretty hard to ever believe anything good about yourself. It's kind of like you never, ever believe that anything will go right. But even when or if it does, it immediately doesn't feel like a win because you convince yourself that it's probably just a coincidence or a trap or a trick. And the next thing will just go back to going wrong because everything always goes wrong. Because, yes, again, that's correct. You're not good enough because you're not good enough. It just constantly feels like auditioning for a life that I did actually work for, but rather than enjoying it, constantly trying to figure out what's next because what I have isn't good enough and what's next will never ever work or be good enough either. And that's another thing. This is actually a huge part of the reason why I think I'm an overachiever and never actually happy with anything that I achieve or succeed in because I make these unrealistic goalposts for myself where I think if I can just do X, Y, and Z, then, I'll have proved to myself and everyone else that I'm not a failure finally. And then when I actually achieve that thing, I don't even enjoy it for 5 seconds. Like not 5 seconds of success before moving that goalpost and convincing myself, well, I'm still not good enough. Like I remember when I started on social media, it was, okay, if I just get 20,000 followers on TikTok, oh my God, that'll be more than enough. I'll be so happy. Oh, okay. Then it's 50,000. Then it's 1 million, right? Like you just keep moving. And now that I have amassed about an audience of about 2 million across platforms. I've been able to quit my job. I've been able to double my income. And I can name all of these things to you. I can sit here and I can write a list of the reasons why I should feel successful or I should be happy with where I'm at. But I truly sit here coming to you from the most precarious place I've ever felt in. I've never felt less stable. I've never felt like more of a failure. And I wish I was exaggerating. I'm not. I feel like I could lose it all at any moment. I do not feel confident in my future. I do not feel confident that I won't fuck it up or that I haven't already fucked it up. Every piece of content I put out, I feel that it's not good enough. I think every other day that I've lost my touch. I'm not funny anymore. It's my flop era. And again, I told you I was going to be extra dramatic today because I'm really feeling it hard today. Perfect for this episode. But it's hard. It is. And trying something new like this podcast when your confidence is already low, it kind of feels like starting a marathon with a sprained ankle and everyone's yelling like, be positive. You can do it. You've done marathons before. It'll be great. And that's what people say. You'll be great. It'll be great. When you have imposter syndrome, it's hard to believe in yourself and it's hard to believe in other people who believe in you. Because you just think, you know what? Like, how do you know? How do you know? I've never been a podcast host before. How do you know I'll be great? How do you know? And then again, that voice, I've tricked you into thinking I'll be great, but I won't. It's all a big trick. I also think a big root of this for me, because I was trying to think about like, where does this come from? Why am I so obsessed with, success? But even if I am successful, it never feels like enough. And I think a lot of it comes from being a talented, I'm trying to put talented in air quotes, talented kid growing up. Even now, like I can't even give my child self a pat on the back for being good at something, putting the talented in air quotes. But for me, I was like, I would say a gifted child. I was very good in school. I always had the highest grades in the class. My teachers wanted to put me in the program for gifted children, whatever. I did not end up going in it. which may not come as any surprise. And I was also kind of like a child prodigy at piano. I started playing on stage when I was like 9 or 10, and adults were like, holy shit, she's incredible. And I genuinely think that that kind of attention and praise at that age damaged me so much more than it ever helped me. Because when you're that young and your identity becomes the special kid, the talented kid, the prodigy, you believe that's who you are forever, right? You get used to it. But then your age catches up to your talent and suddenly you're just normal good. You're not jaw-dropping good. You're just like a girl who's good at piano. You're not like, holy fuck. And it's unbearable. And I think a lot of athletes have this too. You spend your whole I wouldn't know about this because I'm definitely not an athlete, but you spend your whole childhood being the star, right? And then adulthood hits and suddenly you're just one more hockey player or one more football player. And your brain can't handle not being exceptional anymore. So it's like you spend the rest of your life trying to recreate that feeling and failing. And therefore, you never feel good enough again. And it completely warps your baseline for what good enough even means. I desperately want to believe that I don't have to live the rest of my life this way, because what is the point of ever trying at anything or ever having any success in your life if you can never enjoy it because you think you're not good enough? I mean, you point out any single thing in my life that I have, and I have the same outlook. I'm not a good enough dog mom. I say to my boyfriend all the time, oh, poor Herbie, I feel so bad for him. And he's like, Herbie has a fantastic life. You literally cater to him. You design your life around him so he never has to be alone. Oh, okay, but still not good enough. I'm not a good enough homekeeper. My house isn't tidy enough. I don't have enough Christmas decorations up. I'm not good enough at keeping a fitness routine. I should go to the gym more. I'm not a good enough daughter. I wish I could do more for my parents. It's honestly quite exhausting and a little bit mundane at this point. And the thing is, like, no one else cares or is thinking about it. And that's honestly true. No one else is thinking Carla's not good enough dog mom. She's not a good enough daughter. She's not a good enough piano player. Like, nobody else thinks that. So if we are the only judge of whether or not we ourselves are good enough, I guess the question becomes, how can we change our minds or even gaslight ourselves into believing that, not all of the time, but some of the time, that we are fucking good enough? Honestly, this is the part that I find the hardest, because I have learned, as I sit here and speak to you right now, imposter syndrome is not cured by success. If anything, success makes it worse. On paper, the more successful I become, the worse my imposter syndrome is and the bigger failure I feel like. You could have told me 2 years ago, 3 years ago, where I'd be sitting right now and what I would have on the go and, you know, the following I would have or the opportunities I've had, the income, whatever. And I would have just been, oh my God, I can't believe it. That's unbelievable. I can't wait. That's going to be the best time of my life. Yet I sit here genuinely feeling like I'm not good enough in any aspect. So the success doesn't fix it. So what does? Imposter syndrome is fixed by rewiring, reprocessing, and repetition. You literally have to train your brain like a toddler who keeps like running in front of a school bus. So some things that the research actually says helps is that you catch that I tricked them thought in real time, and don't let it disguise itself as truth. Just literally like catch it and go, oh, that's my brain lying again. And separate feelings from facts. I feel like a fraud. I feel like I tricked them is not the same as I actually am a fraud and I actually did trick them. I wrote this earlier in the week, but it's so fucking hard for me to tell you guys this right now because every single thing I'm saying out loud can't actively apply it to myself. Like, that's how deep I am in this right now. But I'll still go through the motions with you guys, okay? I'm like, here's what you guys should do to fix your imposter syndrome. It won't work on me because I actually am not good enough. Okay, so here's the other thing I wrote. Collect evidence like a little goblin, all right? Like screenshots, achievements, messages, analytics, whatever. Because your brain will delete all of this unless you force it to look again. And I'm not kidding you. ChatGPT is my best mate when it comes to this because I am up his ass 12 hours a day some days. Like, how do my analytics compare to other people in the industry? I need numbers. I need stats. I need hard facts. Because I do. Because my brain can lie to me all day long, but the evidence does not lie. And also, I think we have to learn sometimes to try to sit in success like for an uncomfortable 10 seconds because it's like as soon as something good happens, I punch it in the face with it. Oh, it's not fucking good enough or I'm going to mess it up. It's immediately. So I think trying to enjoy something even as long as 10 seconds before punching it in the face and, deciding that it's not worth enjoying. Because feeling good about something is not a prerequisite for competence. Just because I don't feel like I'm good at it does not mean I'm not good at it, because the evidence actually shows that I am. And here's another big one. Talk to yourself like you would talk to a friend. I've said this in episodes about other things. I know it's super cliche, but like, your brain wants to believe that you are the exception to basic human decency. You're not. You deserve the same compassion you hand out to everyone else. Imposter syndrome, it doesn't just go away. It's not just going to flip a switch overnight. You're going to wake up and you're going to be like, you know what? I am that bitch. But it does get quieter if you can learn to recognize it as like background noise instead of gospel, which I cannot do today, but tomorrow I will try again. Hopefully by the time this episode airs and I'm listening to it, I'll be like, I'm doing a little bit better. I swear to God, it's this goddamn season. It's this goddamn rain. It's this goddamn getting dark at 4:30 every single day. It has to have something to do with it. But if our brains can learn to bully us this badly, they can also learn slowly, awkwardly, and stubbornly to shut the fuck up and let us live. Now, I asked you guys, what is the biggest lie your brain convinces you of, and something that you're like objectively good at, but you gaslight yourself into thinking you're bad at it? So let's hear from what you guys had to say for the Don't Think Deep Dive today. Sorry about that. I got distracted by looking at my laptop to pull these up, and there was an email that, as always, made me feel like a failure. Okay, let's hear from Andrew.
All right, so honestly, I think it's just everyday mundane interactions with people, whether it be the lady at the gas station or, the dude at Walmart helping me find something. Every time I leave the interaction, even though it went perfectly fine, my brain goes, you fucking idiot. Every time. No fail. Don't know why. But maybe that's just me.
Damn, that is so relatable. I feel like that is part imposter syndrome and part social anxiety and part just being an anxious fucking mess. No offense, Andrew. Love you. But like, it's so relatable. It's every single day I leave my apartment. That's actually not true. I don't leave my apartment every single day. Let's say every single time I leave my apartment, there's a concierge that sits at the front desk downstairs in my building. And I have convinced myself that they all don't like me except for one. Shout out to him. He's a sweetheart. But I've convinced myself that the rest don't like me. And every single time I walk out, I say hi to them. I try to be really nice. I go, hi, how's it going? And they'll just be like, or like kind of ignore me. And then I see them light up for the next person who walks by. And every single time I tell myself, well, you know what? Like, if they don't want to be nice to me, that's fine. I'm going to stop trying. Now, every single time I go, I, backpedal and I go, well, I'm still going to be nice. And then as soon as I do it, I say, hi, how are you? And try to be nice. And they don't respond as positively and chipper as I want them to, which is probably nothing to do with me and everything to do with maybe they're just having a bad day or they don't like their job. I don't know. But every single time I walk away going, you fucking idiot, Carly, you failed. You suck at this. You literally can't even do this right. Everybody else in the building can get these people to like them and you can't. What is wrong with you? So again, very relatable. Thank you, Andrew. Let's move on to Rachel.
Hi, my name is Rachel. I'm from Wisconsin in the USA. I'm a chief resident of pediatrics, and literally every accomplishment I have feels like an obligation, and every mistake feels like my true inadequacy coming through. And every day I worry that the people around me will slowly begin to realize that I don't actually belong here, despite being an incredibly high-achieving, overachieving person. And it's great. I love it. It's the battle I fight every single day.
Damn. Okay, first of all, Rachel, that made me feel better, because if you feel this way, then like there really is no success or no achievement high enough that, can fix imposter syndrome. But you said something really interesting. Every mistake feels like the truth. It's like, wow. Okay. The mistakes define me and they feel like the true me, where the successes and the wins feel like a fluke or a one-off or a coincidence or I tricked them. The mistakes, when I'm failing, when I'm not doing well, that's the real me. That's what it feels like. You described that so well. And I guess at the end of the day, neither one of those things is really accurate, are they? Like, it's really just how you frame it. Unless you're 99% mistakes and 1% successes, then yeah, I think that's fair. But wow, that gave me something to think about. I'm like, I should go rewrite the whole episode with that framing, because that just makes so much sense. Like, it just hits home. But you know what, Rachel? You definitely are not inadequate. I'm jealous, because I am. Let's hear from one more. This is from Sam.
Hey, my name is Sam, and I'm a touring concert content creator, doing photo and video for some high-level touring bands. And what's weird about my job is that I'm always singing for my supper. And I usually judge my self-worth based on how full my calendar is and stupid metrics like engagement and likes and comments on content I've made for other bands. And what's weird is, despite having quite literal data, photo, and video evidence that I'm doing okay, when I get home from a tour or a show, it's just me in a dark room, and that's when comparison comes out, and that's when I'm just alone with my thoughts. And usually that's when imposter syndrome wreaks havoc. I think it's twofold. I think it's one, I'm going from these super high dopamine level areas to nothing at all. I think the equivalent would be like if you went on a crazy vacation and then you had to go back to the office and you're like, why do I do this? And then the other thing is comparison. So I think imposter syndrome definitely likes to wreak havoc in those areas. And yeah, have a great day. Thanks.
Damn, Sam, actually that brought a tear to my eye, because I feel so seen right now. Like, all I could think about was how you guys always tell me that my podcast makes you feel seen, and that message just made me feel so validated that I was like, wait, maybe this is why people listen to the podcast. Maybe I am doing something right. Because wow, yeah, it just felt really good to see my feelings so clearly articulated by somebody who clearly has a similar lifestyle in a way, right? Like, I'm very much basing my success off numbers, and those numbers actually reflect too how much people like me or like what I'm putting out there. And they're not just numbers that measure how much money I'm going to make or how the trajectory of my career. It's literally like I'm refreshing a screen for a hit of dopamine that tells me, am I likable? Am I successful? Or am I a failure? And what you said about being alone in the dark, and that's when it really happens. Like, that's my day every day. So it's totally true. And comparison is not only the thief of joy, it's the food for imposter syndrome. It feeds it, and it's exhausting. It really is. So I really do. I think that's a good note to end on for me. This isn't about you guys. It's for me. It's about me. But I want to say thank you so much, as always, for those call-ins, because not only were they fantastic, but now you have helped me as well. So I love you guys so much. That's it for this week. I hope this resonated in some way. If it did, please let me know. I love hearing your guys' thoughts about the show. Send me a DM, send me a message, whatever. Send me a speak pipe. I just love hearing the feedback, and only if it's good feedback, of course, because I can't handle anything negative. Thank you. And please like, rate, follow, review, scream it from the rooftops that you love this show. And yeah, I love you guys. Thanks for joining. And until next Thursday, don't think too much. But if you do, you know you're in the right place. Bye.